The year 6628 would end with a religious revolt in the newly conquered Black Sheep Hills. Thousands of old god worshipping peasants led by former disgruntled petty lords of the White Knife rose up, taking to attacking travelling septons, spreading the faith of the Seven, and families of Andal settlers moving to the Black Sheep Hills. Armed with little more than pitchforks and wooden axes, these bands of rebels caused havoc all over the countryside. With a lack of manpower in his newly gifted lands to quell the revolt, Enger's bastard brother Harold Blackstar calls upon Sevensport for aid, and they answer. Enger calls his banners and brings a host of 5,000 knights and men-at-arms made up of Rosehearts, Blooms and Jossos into the Black Sheep Hills. They meet the peasant host on a wet day in early 6629 in a deep valley. The strong winds blew the rain down into the enemy's face. What followed could not really be described as a battle. There was no honour to be found and no songs would be sung of that day. It was a total massacre. The peasant army was cut down like pigs to the slaughter. Enger was heard to say he took no pleasure in slaughtering the weak, but must make an example of these rebels to ensure future order within his lands. One great moment was to come from the battle, however, the first man knight of Andalia, a young farm boy from just outside of Sevensport by the name of Roose, earned great respect and prestige from his exploits in the battle. When Lord Criston Bloom was unhorsed and unarmed, surrounded by enemies, young Roose charged in without fear and concern for his own life upon his old workhorse, to drive a lance straight through the enemy commander's throat before jumping from his horse and cutting down 2 more men, saving Lord Bloom's life. The young Northman was knighted right there in the centre of the battlefield by Lord Criston himself. The young boy took the name Lancer and a blue lance upon white for his sigil, to forever remind his descendants of the founding of their house. This was an important moment for the inspiring kingdom, as it proved to Enger and his lords that the natives of the White Knife were buying into the Andal way of life despite the revolt. More great news awaited Enger on his return to Sevensport in mid-6629. His lady wife had given him a son. At the 5th attempt, Enger finally had his heir, further securing his hold over the new lands. He would name the boy Ambrose Sevenstar, who would go on to one day become a great king in his own right. The newly made Lord Sir Wilbert Josso would host a great tourney in Whitford in late 6629 to close a great year with further celebration. He would not himself enter, however, still carrying a wound from the Battle of the Black Sheep Hills, which meant a White Knife tourney would finally have a different finalist. Although, unsurprising to everyone, the formidable Sir Stephen Roseheart made the final once again, unseating Enger Sevenstar himself in what turned out to be the most thrilling and exciting joust the kingdom had ever seen. Not wanting to lose the momentum and ferocious confidence his army now possessed, Enger decides in 6630 to start an invasion of Widow's Watch and the Hornwood. The latter had vast woodlands and plenty of game, both of which were desperately needed in the ever-growing Sevensport. In 6631, while still away at war, Enger receives the fantastic news that his lady wife had given birth to a second strong son. They named him Lionel. This news helped spur Enger on to take the Hornwood and Widow's Watch as quickly as possible so that he could return home and see his sons. In 6632, after over a year of war and many years of noble service, Enger Sevenstar knights his 2 young squires, Medgar Roseheart and Colmar Bloom, the sons of his close friends and heir to the lordships of the White Star and Oldcastle. Not long after, as 6633, the war for the new lands is won, Enger creates the High Lordship of the Warrior's Way, which will contain the lordships of Maidengate, the Black Sheep Hills and Warrior's Watch, formerly Widow's Watch, as vassals. This would be ruled over by the newly made Lord of the Hornwood, Sir Rogar Rack. The seat of Warrior's Watch would be handed to Sir Albert Morgoth, Enger's High Steward. Lord Morgoth would also gain the prize of Rosalind Sevenstar's hand in marriage, Enger's oldest daughter. 6633 would continue to be a year of great celebration and legend, as Enger Sevenstar would crown himself King Enger Sevenstar, first of his name and founder of the Northern Andal Kingdom of Andalia. The celebrations would go on for months, with dozens of feasts, a tourney, melees and fairs. Every man, woman and child from around the new Kingdom of Andalia was invited to attend, no matter their race or standing. It was a spectacle on a level the North had never seen or likely to see again. As is usually the case, however, the gods give with one hand and take away with the other. As the year of 6633 comes to an end, so does the life of Enger's younger brother Owen Sevenstar, Knight of the Castle of Greenstar, whilst according to some sources he was attending to chamber business.